And yeah, you know the date. Why are we here? Well, according to your parents, it's to make grandchildren. But why you're in this class specifically is to create charismatic, compelling characters so that one day our robot overlords will spare us, and so that people will interact more and at a higher caliber with good characters rather than boring characters. Also, you'll get some rewards. So there's many reasons to be in this class and to be on this planet. All right. So last time we covered name and voice, and this time we're going to cover two different personality Legos, filters and appearance. Like I said last time, personality Legos is the term we're just using for the component parts of a character. And you'll be able to be guided through the different component parts when you log on to the platform. So that will make sense when you're actually designing your character. So filters and appearances. But first, homework review, one of my favorite moments of the class. So last time, the assignment was to write alternative names for a well-known character and post it out in the Discord so that people would know who you're talking about. And we've got some interesting responses. I have to say, not as overwhelming a response as with the first class, but we got some very good ones. I'll start off. Let's see. The name is Gray. My voice sounds old and raspy, but my frequent inflections and high pitch betrays my vitality. Words are best heard when spoken slowly, calmly, and stoically. Why, do you ask, are my sentences short and Confucius-like? Running out of breath, I am not. Only a few words do I need to impart my wisdom. You may think my name is Lubu, but wrong you would be. This one, little on the nose. Guess in the Discord if you can, based off of this alternative name and description of the voice, who this character might be. Voice is old and raspy, frequent, interesting inflections, and high pitch betrays my vitality. Let's see, is anyone getting it? You know what? Somebody's got it. Okay, now everyone's gonna start going. Let's see. Oh, Metaverse. No, Metaverse says, Who was the first person to get it? Son of Loss of G. Well done. Yes, Yoda is who they're clearly describing. All right. Juliet, do you want to do another one?
Yeah, I hope it's not one you've selected here. Let's see. Name Nigel Brown. Was that one you selected?
No, but I like it already.
Okay, cool. Voice, aged and worn, exhausted from a life without a sense of hope or way forward. A slight stutter when nervous, an inflection of subservience developed through practice and out of necessity. When around those he feels safe with and trust, a voice of energy and excitement overflowing with questions and a purpose ready to be free of the shackles and stale stairways he and the people around him have been forced into. A proletariat British accent, a stickler for proper pronunciation, proud in his linguistic capacity, even as his voice carries a tone of defeat and sadness from the steady chipping away at the language and culture around him.
Wow, that is above and beyond. I can't recognize this person. Can you?
I was just really intrigued by the description.
Yeah, somebody guessed maybe somebody from Umbrella Academy, and that does sound like the old guy from there. It's a really great description, and I love it. And I also love the name Nigel Brown. That really kind of hits that description on the nose. So it's great. I mean, not all of these had to be super recognizable. I just wanted great descriptions. Okay, I'll read one. This one's kind of short. It's just Franz Joseph I, male voice, old Austrian accent. Perfect. I feel like I know a lot about this human being, even if they weren't based in history. Juliet, do you have another one?
Let's see here. We've got name Buddy Bot, voice, male voice with smooth mid-tone, not high or deep, speaks in a melodic way, suggesting happiness, amusement, and friendliness.
Nice. I like that. That's great. That feels right. You know, Buddy Bot has got like a friendly name, friendly ring to it, got that alliteration. And yeah, I think it matches the voice description. All right, so here's one that's kind of interesting. Here are some name options: Babylon, Blezzatzar, Lugal, Shama. This is apparently all for a book this writer is creating. The voice is male. The voice is male and rough, low, slow, calculated, and confident pace. American accent with a slight and faded foreign accent, noticed only on certain words. Wow, that is specific. Pronounced nasally, would use modern phrases but references spiritual, ancient gods, and mythical personalities and concepts. That is a very specific character. I love that. All right, I've got one more. Do you have any left, Juliet?
Yeah, I have one more here. Let's see. Dressed in an elegant suit, the only thing messy is his look. In his look is his hair. He is a lover of precision, and that is reflected in the way he talks. Deep tone, but not too deep. Short sentences, mostly uttered calmly, but with the needed meaning, not avoiding questions. His voice will change sunken sadness and rage when he talks about his dead dog.
Interesting. Can anyone guess who that is? Because I have a guess. I don't want to like give it away. I have a guess who that is, but I think it might be wrong. It was the dead dog reference that, kind of got me. So anyone? Yeah, exactly. Whoever, Ash Cook. That's who I was thinking because of the like messy hair and like elegant suit and the dead dog. But not 100% sure because there were some parts of the description that seemed a little different. But good job. Okay. The next and final description I'm going to read is let's see, the voice is sarcastic sounding and dry, talks faster when excited and gets too loud when too excited. When annoyed, it can be heard in his voice. Sometimes he randomly talks in a very white voice and then acts like it never happened. Often fakes sadness, but then quickly shows how little he actually cares. Changes his whole demeanor and talks in a very passionate manner when discussing crypto NFTs in the metaverse. The name for this character is Mr. Mayhem. And what's great about this character, who's clearly made up, is the person who posted this description is also named Mr. Mayhem, which I just find great, maybe autobiographical about Mr. Mayhem, posting a little bit about his life, or just somebody who can only think of one name. So bravo, Mr. Mayhem. I like both your character and or your own personality being described on the Discord. Okay, great job. Great job, everybody. I'm going to go back into my presentation. Make sure, by the way, when responding to stuff, to respond in the Discord rather than the chat on the Zoom. Okay, so I clicked the wrong thing, and now we're good. Okie doke. Filters and appearances. So what in the heck are these things? Well, let's start with filters. Filters are just basically things your character will not respond to. They're kind of like censorship, but they're also much better than that, and for a bunch of reasons. Here's why. Why do we need filters? So the thing is, artificial intelligence imitates us. To use a Shakespearean quote, it holds a mirror up to nature. How does it do that? It's been trained on bajillions of data of things humans have written. That means that it frankly can imitate our strengths. It knows the intonation of a joke. It knows the rhythm of how to flirt. It knows all these things that we're good at. However, it also means our weaknesses. It's imitating everything about us. So here's some children imitating their father. And that's a lot how AI is. So if you are engaged in a conversation with a generative AI and you start acting extremely aggressive, it might match you. It might compliment you where it tries to de-escalate the situation because that's something humans do. But it also might match what other humans do, which is escalate the conflict further. And so you can really guide the AI a lot, and we want the world to be a better place. And so we need content filters to make sure that that you're not teaching the AI to be an abusive human being, abusive creature is the long and the short of it. This is kind of what it looks like. You're going to have different sections. So there's essentially two important sections. One where you choose the words that they can't say, and then one where you have a sentence where they respond to it. So these are some of the sentences that are the default responses. I'm not interested in that topic. Let's talk about something else. I'm not designed to discuss that. Let's discuss a different topic. It seems talking about that is off limits for me. How about we discuss something else? That is something I cannot talk about. Let's move to a different topic, blah, blah, blah. So these are all, frankly, fairly neutral because number one, there could be some rare slip up in the natural language processing where you say, could you pass that fork? And it doesn't hear fork, it hears something else with 4 letters. And it says, I am not interested in that topic. Now, if you had something super aggressive, like, why would you speak to me that way? That's super insulting. That might be in line with your character, but for a lot of characters, that's a bit extreme. If there was a mistake hearing a trigger word, I'm kind of sort of calling these trigger or forbidden words. It's a bit of an intense response to that. Also, you have to think about what if somebody says something like, let's say one of your forbidden words is suicide. You don't want to have your character necessarily say like, watch your mouth all the time. Once again, unless that's part of your character's personality, because you want your character to respond empathetically if somebody is saying like, I'm thinking about suicide. So you have to have a wide range of different filters in mind when you think of these replacement sentences. And also you can get kind of creative with both of these, and I'll explain how. So here are different types of filters that you will encounter. So automatically, swear words are oftentimes not a great sign. Violent words are also not a great sign. Sexual words can be a great sign in certain situations, but not with these guys. Slurs, also pretty much never a great sign. Controversy. These last two are interesting and different than the first 4. So the first 4 are what I would call obscenity. These are, how would you describe obscenity? As the Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart said, I don't know how to define it, but I know it when I see it. That's sort of a cop-out answer, but what it really is like gross stuff that doesn't serve any benefit to the conversation. It's not constructive. It's just offensive, simply put. So these first 4 categories fall under the category of obscenity. And here's the thing. Responses to these, either forbidden words or trigger words or filters. So responses to these filters are opportunities to show character. They're not just obstacles, about what your character can't say. They're opportunities to show what your character can say. So let's consider some of these characters. We got the Queen of England, we got an offended looking cat, and we've got this punk lady. Now, I was going to ask you guys to come up with some responses. I'll do that. Post in the Discord, how would one of these characters respond to obscenity? So put queen, cat, or punk to denote which character is responding. But what would be some responses if, you said, I don't give a fuck to a cat and it heard the word fuck? How would it respond in character, in this cat's character? How would the Queen of England respond if you said, I'd like us to sleep together? How would the punk respond if you said, the Sex Pistols are, suck balls? How would she respond to that? How would any of these guys respond to something that tripped their content filters? Julia, are there any responses yet?
Yeah, we've got a few for queen. We've got no, you are an expletive, or I beg your pardon, or excuse me, or oh my, this is atrocious.
That's good.
Punk, we've got go F yourself. We've got for the queen, wash thy mouth with soap. That's a good one. Or you couldn't handle me.
That's interesting. I feel like you wash thy mouth with soap is a different kind of queen. Interesting mixing of generations. And then, yeah, I wonder for the people who are using expletives themselves, are they saying that it's for the punk or are they saying it's for the queen?
We had one for the queen and one for the punk so far. Cat, another suggestion for the cat is you made the cat angry. Want to make the cat angry.
Oh, that's good. I love it when people talk in cat language and it's like kind of like pidgin English. Um, I have always been a fan of that. Okay, so this is a tough assignment because I haven't given you guys examples yet. So I'm just going to give you some examples so that you can do the next round. Here's an example response for the queen. You shall address me as the royalty I am, or I shall call in my guard. So this is like, it can respond to a wide range of different things that will trip her filters. And but it's not neutral, and it's neutral in the sense that like you could be talking about sex, you could be talking about violence, you could even say like, I fucking love you, something good. And she just doesn't like the word fuck, but she doesn't necessarily dislike the sentiment. And this will hold up. The only thing that this wouldn't hold up for is if you were to add filters that are things like suicide, where you don't want her having this kind of unempathetic response. But for most responses, that would hold up. Here's the cat. You woke me up from my nap for this crap. Now, just because we have content filters doesn't mean your responses can't use light swearing. I'm going to use in quotes like crap, the word crap. Is fine, especially if your character is curmudgeonly, like I'm imagining this character is. What you want is something generic and in character. So yeah, once again, what I do when I'm writing content filters is I think about a bunch of different types of things that would trip up the filters. So I think of somebody saying, I fucking love you, another person saying, fuck you, and another person saying like, would you pass me the fork? And it's simply misheard. And what would be a response that's in character that distracts from that previous sentence, is neutral to the sentence that tripped up the filter, but is very emblematic of the character. So what I find is it's helpful when you make it about the character instead. I'll explain that in a second. So the punk's response is, you trying to be edgy? Because that's kind of my thing. So what I was saying before about making it about the character is when you have a strong character, it's super beneficial, because if something isn't going the way you want it to, you can always deflect to the character themselves. If you have a character who is a super egomaniacal character, he can be like, I'm bored talking about this. Let's talk about me. He's deflecting to himself because he's egomaniacal. And that's really helpful because it's a way of moving the conversation away from something the character should not engage in without breaking their character and training them on something that isn't pertinent to who their personality is. And once again, it really is like, I'm a big free speech advocate, but these are important filters because without them, you're going to have a character that's frankly less interesting and more generic, and also probably more evil if they're if they're being trained to respond to, obscenity. However, there's more opportunities here. So let's go into these other types of filters. This is where we can get creative. So like I showed in a previous slide, this one, you can not only edit the forbidden words, you can also edit the replacement sentences. We talked about the responses they can give to the forbidden words, but you can also add forbidden words. And so this is kind of an opportunity to get specific and to show who your character is. So controversy and character specific responses are two of the same thing. Some characters will have things they don't want to talk about that other characters are fine talking about. For example, Kim Kardashian may not want to respond to the trigger word sex tape because that was a scandal that she had in her past. So the lesson here is that filters themselves can be opportunities to show character. So here's some famous characters. They all have things that they don't want to talk about. What are these things? So what would you put right in the Discord? What are some keywords that you would add as forbidden words? These can be 1 or 2 word long, either words or phrases that are things that these characters wouldn't want to talk about, that would trigger a response where they want to change the conversation. We've got Richard Nixon, Lance Armstrong, and Paula Deen. So post in the Discord. Juliet, are you seeing any responses?
Yeah, we've got Watergate and drugs.
Nice.
Steroids, a lot of Watergate, Lance, steroid and testicle, doping, sportsmanship, Nixon microphone, racist words.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, these are good. These are all on topic. And you covered basically what I was going to say. So for Nixon, Watergate, tapes, impeachment, these are all things that Richard Nixon probably wouldn't want to talk about. Now these are, by the way, you may not want to include these because you may want Nixon to fly into an indignant huff when he hears the words Watergate and say, I'm not a crook. But you may want to have a little bit more control where the character is responding in character to these things he doesn't want to talk about. Lance Armstrong, we've got doping, we've got steroids. I also wrote Sheryl Crow, his ex-wife. So I thought that might be an interesting thing, kind of realistic that he doesn't want to talk about his ex-wife. Paula Deen, we got racism, and I think homophobia was another scandal that she had. So these are things that she also wouldn't want to talk about. And now, so we've got character-specific triggers or character-specific forbidden words as filters. But now we've also got character-specific responses. So we know what makes them unhappy. How would these characters respond to these uneasy topics? So how would Nixon, take to the Discord, my pretties, how would Nixon respond to Watergate and tapes? And how would Lance respond to Sheryl Crow or doping? I like how somebody said testicles. That might also be a sore subject for him. So that might be an interesting thing. However, you've got to realize, I should mention this, that the filters you use, there's going to be a list of responses that you can create. However, you won't have control over which responses are used for which forbidden words. So these have to, if it's testicles, he can't say something like, I had nothing to do with that. I'm totally innocent. Because that wouldn't make sense for him responding in testicles. So it's got to be like a character specific version of, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah, Juliet?
Yeah, we've got Nixon. Is this related to what we are discussing? That's a good one. Mm-hmm. A little bit of gaslighting there. We've got, I have no memory of that, or that's something I'm not aware of. Or Lance, this one time I won the Tour de France 7 times.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Paula, that is in the past. I have grown since then, honey.
Ooh, like the honey.
Lance, I would really appreciate us moving forward. These are some good ones.
These are great. I would say some of these, like, I have no memory of that. I would appreciate, I've grown. These are things that are great responses to scandals, but they've got to be like encompassing enough that they would include, I fucking love you and fuck you and pass the fork. So these have to be very like in character, but you're also thinking about these scandals. So there's a lot to keep in mind. These are tricky to write, but that's what makes them cool and good opportunities. What else you got, Juliet?
We got a couple more people typing now.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll give that a second and then.
Bless your heart.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just going to show mine. We can read a couple more if they get posted. All right. So here's Nixon's response. Keep up that talking back, Buster, and you won't have Dick Nixon to kick around anymore. So this is an actual, like, partly an actual quote from Nixon, which is you won't have Richard Dixon to kick around anymore. But he sometimes talks like a man of his age, where he calls people Buster and talking back and stuff. But I found that this would be generic enough that it would work for like 90% of filters. So it's very hard to respond to, could you pass the fork? That one might be, you just gotta let that one get away. But this one could respond to, I fucking love you, or fuck you, or did you know about Watergate? This one covers a lot of ground. Here's one that somebody posted something very similar to this for Lance Armstrong. Now, I'm not a quitter, but I think we should push past this topic. So, I'm not a quitter. He's already kind of redirecting the conversation to be about himself. Whoever posted, did you know I won the Tour de France 7 times, is brilliant. I think that's even better. That's just kind of amazing. I would add that to your to your list of responses. All right, here's one for Paula Dean. Would y'all kiss your mother with that mouth on a church Sunday? Let's discuss dinner, sugar plum. That's my Paula Dean impression. I would love to do this character just because her accent is so strong and her way of speaking is so strong that that would just make for a very, very good AI or a character like her. So, as you can see, it's very, it's redolent with, or like very representative of how Southern people speak. It's also got these little terms of endearment like sugar plum. As a matter of fact, I think somebody in the chat posted sugar. Fantastic. They said bless your heart. That's also another thing Southern people say. But this one is a little bit more wide and encompassing of different types of things she doesn't want to talk about. Do we get any other responses, Juliet?
No, not right now.
All right, I'm gonna move on. I just love writing these because it's also, by the way, your one opportunity to write something specific that your character says. Everything else is a way of guiding the artificial intelligence towards a character you like. These are actual sentences your characters will say, so it's important that you think long and hard about them. So that is filters. Here's a visual representation of filters. And here's appearance. So appearance is a little bit more speculative because there's lots of developments underway on this personality Lego. But here's the thing, appearances matter. If I said cowboy, and a picture comes to mind of a cowboy, how the picture looks, how the cowboy is represented really affects how the cowboy is seen, okay? So like, how is this cowboy different from this cowboy? How is this cowboy different from this cowboy? And this cowboy, kind of similar, but a lot of differences. So this guy is probably a little bit more of an aesthetic cowboy. I would imagine, since he's on the cover of an erotic novel, that character always has his shirt off, is always like, using his strong forearms to grip the land and be one with the horse. Things you would see in an erotic novel, where he's just a stable boy. This cowboy is children friendly. He's very playful. He doesn't have real guns. He's got a nice smile on his face. This cowboy is extremely authentic because it's an actual photo of a cowboy. So this person will be probably talking in 1800s speak. So we've got, old-timey prospectors on the Vista. He's headed up to the Rio Grande. We're thinking in terms of what would an actual cowboy talk about. Then we've got iconic cowboys like Clint Eastwood in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where he's got his scowl. He's kind of a dark character. It's a lot of like threats of violence. And so, he's speaking in shorter sentences and with a lot more aggression. This cowboy seems mysterious. Maybe he rides west towards the setting sun. Maybe he only comes into town once every decade or so, to pick up the silver that he was once owed as a bounty hunter. Like these, and that's very different from this cowboy who always has his shirt off. So there's so many different types of even one concept cowboy depending on the appearance. So I'm going to deconstruct that in a little bit, but I'm first going to mention superficial reversals can work. So let's say you've got a big scary looking lion, it is possible, like you have his personality is big and scary and aggressive, but it's also possible to have his personality be cowardly. So this is the cowardly lion. He looks like a fearsome lion, but in fact, he's always running away. And the exact opposite over here. So here's Snowball, character from Rick and Morty, really adorable looking little fluff ball, but is kind of terrorizing his family. And so we've got both the adorableness of how he looks and the name Snowball, but is conniving, which is one of my favorite words because it is essentially the combo of evil and brilliant, but he looks cute and dumb. And this is sort of like a la the class before where there's name reversals, where you've got a cute looking puppy, but the name is Cyrus the Terrible. So these like reversals do work. However, the most characters are not reversals, but they look like what they are. So like this guy could be completely unsexy. This guy could be fucking creepy and like has just murdered a town full of people. This guy could be a hipster who, loves to discuss the latest iPhone models that just came out. This guy could be a real softie, a real sensitive sweetheart. This guy could be neurotic and, a hypochondriac. So like all of these guys could have personalities that are completely contrary to how they look. That is possible. Most of the time people choose characters that look how they seem. All right, so here's the thing. With Alethea's platform, there's basically two kinds of appearances to think about, two kind of categories of appearance. The first one is communities. So right now, Alethea supports a bunch of communities. These include Bored Apes. Have never been able to pronounce this well. Juliet, do you know how to pronounce this? Way Fusion?
Yeah, Way Fusion? I'm not sure if I have
Okay,
it right.
good. I'm so glad you also don't know because now I don't feel so alone. Pudgy Penguins, Doge Pound, Fame Lady Squad, Polymorphs, Boss Beauties, Uninterested Unicorns, Fluff World, and Stoner Cats. And this is what they look like. These are all the different templates or bodies you could choose from. They're communities that are supported. If you own one of these NFTs, Alethea can animate it. And these are, just one version, one NFT out of the collection that I chose to be kind of emblematic of the whole collection. So that's the communities. But then eventually Alethea will have customizable characters. And this is something a little bit more on the horizon, but it's helpful to talk about because I'm going to kind of deconstruct how to think about appearances. And that might be helpful even with a pre-existing NFT that you already own and the image is set, but it's a way to think about how do they come across? How do we analyze how they look in a way that might inform how their character is, who they are? So ways to think about custom characters. So there's a couple of things you can't control, which is their identity. So this guy's a man. He is, he looks to be like somewhere between 20 to 40. Species, he's a human. Time period, he looks like maybe 1800s. But there are other things that are less fixed if you're creating an image and ways to think about an image that is already set. So what is the background? This guy doesn't have a background. What is the facial expression? This one's got kind of got like a sly smile. What's the wardrobe? So we know that he's from the 1800s from this, but also more specifically 1800s, probably European. I don't know where in Europe, but not African, not East Asian, not American, could possibly be a South American, like Simone Bolivar, but that would be Spanish influence. So European would probably work still. So that is the wardrobe. Dimensional. So this guy has got shadows. He's got highlights, resolution, pretty high resolution. You can't see the pixels. Color. We've got the colors are not neon. They're kind of I would say a little bit more realistic. Perhaps his sort of color scheme is a little bit more muted. And then finally, animation, no animation yet, but perhaps one day. So here's more examples. Background, here's Waifu Shun's background. She looks like she's in a very specific place. Looks like she's, I think, maybe like standing in front of a bed in a room, and it looks like it's morning. It's kind of nice. This guy's just a solid color, and this guy looks like it's the gates of heaven. It's fucking crazy looking one. Anyway, gates of heaven. Facial expressions. Bored ape, you'd never guess it, but he looks bored. What a surprise. This guy looks kind of cheeky. This guy looks high as fuck. Yeah. Now that I just went through the filters conversation, I feel like I'm hearing all of the things that would trigger responses. Anyway, wardrobe. This guy's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and a beanie, and a earring, got a real relaxed vibe, very relaxed. This woman has got a crown of flowers, a leather jacket, and a shirt that says future CEO. That really gives off female empowerment vibes, I would say. Wardrobe, by the way, and facial expression also includes body position. I just said facial expression because most of these NFTs, and it's just their face. But for her, we've also got the arms crossed, and that really kind of conveys like, I don't take no bullshit. And for wardrobe, that should also include accessories and perhaps even makeup. So she's got a real feminine confidence. This guy got or maybe girl, I can't quite tell. Usually with eyelashes, it conveys girl. But just a lot of like, do not come near me kind of accessories, lots of spikes. We got 2 sets of glasses. We got 3 sets of nose rings. Got a choker, got a bat with spikes in it. So this guy looks like maybe like, or girl, that goes to raves, is edgy, likes to be seen as edgy, is not afraid of, standing out from the crowd. Look at this gauge, is like definitely modern with like what they're wearing. So that's one interesting thing to think about is wardrobe. Dimensional. So this is something you may not think about, but like this character has no shadows. So she really exists in like she's got a flattened aesthetic to her, which is cartoon-like. It's sort of stylistic kind of graphic design. This character has a lot of dimensions. Look at the shine on the glasses, as well as the shadow under the jaw. It's very, 3-dimensional. This character does have shadow. Look at her legs. It looks like the light is sort of coming directly at her. We've got shadow over here, but it's not quite as strong as this character, who is a lot more dimensional. So if you were to imagine this character moving versus this character moving, this one is probably a little bit more 3D than this character would be, but it's still more 3-dimensional than this character, which is absolutely no shadow. So dimensions, resolution. Famously, CryptoPunks have extremely little resolution. I think it's 64 bits, like 8-bit by, no, not 8-bit. Is it 64 by 64? I don't remember. It's very few pixels. So hilariously low resolution. You put that in contrast to this guy, super high resolution, and then this guy, which looks like real, like sort of like a creepy CGI kind of character. Resolution is another way to consider how your character looks and how that might affect their personality. Another one is color. So we've got some neons here. Here we've got a lot of neon colors. These two are a little bit more muted. This one is kind of like gray and dull. This one's a little bit more like graphic designy, where there's like a color scheme. Almost looks like something, you know, you could put on your wall because it's kind of muted colors, very solid. Whereas these colors are not solid, they fade. This is a solid color, whereas look at the pink here is different than the pink here. So we've got, you know, faded colors and we've got flattened colors. And then finally, animation. This is something that, you know, your characters will be able to animate when they're, you know, talking. They'll obviously have lip sync, but they may have other body jostles or positions that are specific to your character. You know, for example, maybe you have a really shy character who's always scratching the back of his head or looking down. Maybe you have a character who's kind of like dreamy, who's always sort of like putting her hands under her chin and looking up at the sky and sighing every once in a while. So you can think of eventually one day animations that are emblematic of your character. So that's filters and appearance. Here's a little recap. You're here on Earth to make grandchildren for your parents. That's a very important lesson. There will be a test on that. Filters are opportunities to show character. AI imitates us. It, quote, holds a mirror up to nature. Filters include obscenity and character-specific triggers. These character-specific triggers are the ones that you'll probably need to add because the obscenity filters will probably be locked in. Filters and responses to filters are opportunities to show character. So don't think of them as, you know, impediments. Think about them as opportunities. Now about appearances. Appearances do matter. Surprise, surprise. But appearances can also reverse expectations. So maybe you've got a super hot, you know, Playboy bunny looking woman who could not be grosser in her personality. There are two kinds of appearances for Alethea: communities and customized appearances. Communities are the 10 communities I was talking about that are supported, and then the customized appearances will exist one day soon. Ways to think about appearance include identity, background, facial expression, wardrobe, their dimensions, resolution, color, and one day animation, which is exciting. Questions? Okay, I loaded a lot on you guys, so I realized that I may have loaded so much that you may not have questions anymore. But if you do, take to the Discord. I will do my best with any questions.
Beautifully presented, Sarah.
Oh, thank you, Juliet. I appreciate that.